If you care about Israel, please listen to what I have to say. My name is Tova. I live in Jerusalem. I'm a wife, a mother, and I run my own business. I'm very concerned about the future for my children here in Israel. I want them to enjoy a future of equality and democracy in the eyes of the law here in the Jewish state of Israel. But I'm very worried that the lies and manipulation of the media, which is scaring people about a very just, necessary, and democratic reform, will prevent this government from implementing much needed judicial reform, which a majority of the voters endorsed. Let me give some recent examples to explain why the justice system needs to become more democratic and just for all. The composition of the selection committee for Supreme Court judges is totally undemocratic. The committee has 9 members: the Justice Minister, a cabinet minister, 2 Knesset members, usually one from the coalition and one from the opposition, 3 Supreme Court judges, and 2 members of the Bar Association. A center-left government has a surefire majority to select any progressive judges they want. How? Well, follow the numbers. The 3 Supreme Court judges always vote as a bloc for their friends who support their progressive, activist judicial philosophy, even though that is illegal. The 2 bar members vote with the Supreme Court judges since they have an eye to promotions in the court system. That's already 5 votes out of 9. Then a center-left coalition has 3 more votes: the Justice Minister, an additional cabinet minister, and an additional Knesset member from the coalition. That makes 8 votes out of 9 for any progressive judicial appointments they want. They never have to negotiate with the right-wing opposition. There is no need. However, a right-wing government only has 3 votes out of 9 for their appointments: the Justice Minister, the Cabinet Minister, and a member of the coalition in the Knesset. The other 6 votes are with the left, so there is always a need to negotiate. So right-wing governments are never able to select all the conservative judges that they want. Even when they form the government, they must negotiate and compromise with the political left that has a built-in majority in the committee. The judicial reform simply seeks to put an end to the left's permanent control of the judges selection committee. Coalitions on either side will be able to nominate the judges they want. That's democracy. Just recently, a local yeshiva planned a special Israel Independence Day prayer service for their community in Tel Aviv. However, the mayor of Tel Aviv claimed it was illegal because it violated equality law, as it was planned as a religious prayer service with men and women separated, praying in separate sections, as Orthodox Jews always do. However, just a few days earlier, the Muslims had a prayer service outdoors in Tel Aviv, with men and women separated. And a few days later, the municipality held a women-only marathon. Why were these 2 events acceptable in the eyes of the law, whereas a separated prayer service for Jews was not? Here is another example. The defense minister recently forbade entry for relatives of terrorists in Judea and Samaria to attend an alternative Memorial Day ceremony that commemorated terrorists who were killed. The decision was then challenged in the Supreme Court, which promptly overturned the minister's decision, allowing relatives of the Arab Muslim terrorists in Judea and Samaria to enter. Why does the Supreme Court even have a right to overturn a ministerial decision that has nothing to do with any law? Here's another example of judicial overreach, which is blatantly undemocratic. The Attorney General has amassed more power than the Prime Minister, even though no law gives him or her that power. The Attorney General forbade Prime Minister Netanyahu from making any public statements connected to the judicial reform on the grounds of an alleged conflict of interest. But this is somewhat hypocritical, given that the Attorney General also has a conflict of interest in gagging the Prime Minister. The Attorney General also forbade the Minister of Internal Security, who is responsible for the police, from giving operational instructions to the police in regards to addressing the lawlessness at the protests against judicial reform. Terrifyingly, the media has chosen to stand the judicial reform process on its head and label it undemocratic. The possibility that policy is going to be based on the blatant lies from the media only serves to intensify my fear for the future of my children. Justice Minister Yariv Levin announced the entire judicial reform plan in detail on his appointment, outlining exactly what was going to be discussed in the Knesset committee hearings. It has since been discussed in the committee for 3 months, one issue at a time. By contrast, the creeping judicial overreach implemented by former Chief Justice Aaron Barak from the early 1990s was done totally undemocratically, without the electorate or the Knesset knowing his objective for the laws he wanted to pass. The judicial system today is the way it is because of an undemocratic judicial coup led by Barak. Yet, the media ignored this historical context. The Israeli people voted for judicial reform in order to strengthen our democracy. Don't trust the lies about the judicial reform. Don't be manipulated.